let's now introduce our second studio guest, Alasdair Hobbs. Get nice and close to the microphone, sir. Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, evening, Carl. Very well, thank
you. You were just telling me off air, last time you were in this studio was nearly, whisper it quietly, 20 years ago.
It'll be nearly 20 years ago, Carl, yes. And I came on the breakfast show for all of 90 seconds, I think.
Can you remember what you were talking about?
Can't remember what I was talking about. It would have been a legal issue of the day, but it was very brief.
So just tell people some of the strings to your bow and what you do now then.
Well, I'm a solicitor by profession, Carl, as you know, and 30 years or so qualified. So, yes, getting on now a bit. But I've been specialising in employment law and human resources for 25 years now, having started out life as a general sort of commercial litigator, dispute resolution, having commenced my training in the recession at the end of the 80s.
I bet you've seen some changes in those professions over the last couple of decades, haven't you?
Yes, the legal professions changed immensely in that 30 years, yeah.
For the better?
Some of it, yes, certainly. I think of some of the characters I used to work for and some of their attitudes. Yes, I think the legal professions changed for the better in many respects. Of course, we used to be self-regulating, which meant that the Law Society would clobber you, and we're pretty tough on it. But we've had the Solicitors Regulatory Authority for years. But mercifully, I haven't had any direct issues with them.
Well, that's good. You've got a fair bit of experience under your belt, to be fair now, though. I would suspect you know a thing or two about what you're doing, don't you?
I'd like to think so.
Now, so your business, Human Results, it's 20th anniversary this year, is that
Human
right?
Results has been trading, we're in our 20th year.
And you're using this year then to give something back really a bit then, aren't you, in terms of some of the events that you plan to run?
I've been very grateful for a number of clients that have followed me for a number of years, and some of those are charity clients, and the thought was that this year we would try and give back and host some events to raise money for the four principal charities.
Which are?
Well, there's the Haven, Women's Refuge in Wolverhampton, Telford and Wrekin CVS, Man in Place, in Telford, and access to business in Wolverhampton, who provide support in getting people back into work, basically.
So that's a fair variety of causes,
quite a spread.
And are they all causes that you have had connections with or worked with over a length of time, or how do you choose who to support?
I think, because I think it's like having kids, you can't really favour one over the other. So they're four of our principal charity clients on retainer, so couldn't give to one and not the other. So
Absolutely.
We decided to help them all.
So tell me, so you say you've held some events already. What sort of things have you had?
We had a great pub quiz back when the weather was good earlier in the summer.
Was it a proper tough
June
pub
time.
quiz? So you didn't make the questions too easy, did you?
It was an excellent pub quiz. It was a great night.
I'm suspecting you wrote it then.
No, we didn't. In fact, we had a proper professional in who's,
because we have our Wrekin Wrangler that we're very proud of on a Saturday, supposedly the hardest quiz on the radio. So and the satisfaction that, I've written it a couple of times, and the satisfaction when people don't get them all right, there's nothing better than that.
Well, we had a great night. We had it at the Roxford Hotel, who again been clients of mine for many years. So it was a good venue to try and entice people from all over Shropshire, and they fed us well, and we had a great evening.
So what else have you got coming up then that people might want to get involved in?
We had a golf day, a charity golf day at Oxley Park in Wolverhampton that was in July, 10th of July, just after the good weather. But it didn't dampen the spirits. It was a great day.
If you will organise things in summer, you know what you expect.
But on the 19th of October, we've got a charity bingo and family fortunes night.
Now we're talking. That's good for any weather, that, isn't it?
Good for any weather, and you don't need to embarrass yourself with pub quiz answers. You just need to be able to dab.
Well, I get, family fortunes can get quite competitive though, can't it? Even within the family. And have you got to have a family of five then to take part in that?
I'm not entirely sure about that. Well, yeah.
Where's that happening then?
That's actually at Oxley Park as well. Yeah. So they've been great. They were great hosts for the golf day. So we're going back to their excellent food, and I'm looking forward to it.
So you'll be well versed then with this thing we're doing tonight, looking for 5 top answers about what to put in your fridge. You know, it's all the thing, isn't it, at the moment?
It is indeed. Yeah.
So I mean, what's the business climate like for you at the moment? We're hearing things that I mean, there's all sorts of pressures on companies we're hearing about.
Oh, there it is. I mean, it's. Obviously, clients' pressures depend very much on what sector they're in, but everybody is finding recruitment tough. There's there's not much movement in the market in terms of jobs. I think there's certainly quite different to the kind of economic tough times of some years ago where employers were shedding staff. I think the problem now is they haven't got enough staff. And I've
struggled to get my head around that, because traditionally when the economy is maybe on a bit of a downturn, unemployment goes up, doesn't it? And so there's a pool of workers there that can't get jobs. And it seems to be the other way around now, that potential employees are in the box seat. They can almost sometimes name their terms for a business, can't they? And say, if you want me, you pay me this.
Yeah, I mean, those that have the courage to move for money, they'll do it.
Are you finding that these days, the modern day employee is interested in more than just what the salary is offering?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. There is more. There is more to it to money, and certainly, Brexit, but the whole kind of pandemic period, Brexit and pandemic just seem to merge into each other at the moment. But I think that there was certainly that people have come back to work looking for different things, greater degree of flexibility. Probably you will have heard all about hybrid working.
And things like companies adopting the 4-day working week and things like that, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. I think that, but you're also seeing companies pushing back against hybrid working now. It depends very much on the role that you carry out. You can't be a hybrid worker and be a factory worker. You've got to be at your workstation. But I think a lot of employers have found that hybrid working is not. It's not been ideal. I think a lot of companies find you can stay, you can roll a steady ball, you can survive the pandemic when things get tough. But I think also when you're recruiting younger, new recruits, trainees, I think they're missing out on something. They're missing out on that ability to learn from others around them. Companies have invested a lot of money in technology that enables hybrid working to work for them, but you really have to be very, very good on your KPIs and how you actually then blend a team. And
it's not the same, is it, doing a Teams call or a Zoom call or what have you, particularly if you're a new employee and you don't know your colleagues well enough to understand the nuances of the way they're looking, or picking up people's senses of humour. I always find quite difficult on online calls. Absolutely,
and I've been listening to your last guest, and you're saying about people getting back to networking. I think the same applies, that during lockdown, there were network groups online, and that's flourished to a point, but actually they've not really succeeded. A lot of people were very much looking forward to getting back to face, because you sit there in your little box on a screen and you get thrown into different chat rooms and you have a little bit of a chat and then you get moved around, and it's fine at maintaining relationships, but making new ones is difficult. And I think that's very much the same in the workplace.
Maybe I'm saying this because of the profession I'm in, but I'm nosy, I'm curious about things. I want to find out what's going on. The office banter, the office gossip. I always find when you're working online, maybe you'll have a meeting about a specific thing, but you won't pass the time of day with somebody at the coffee machine or something like that, and end up having a conversation which goes in a direction you would never have expected it to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that a lot of HR directors, managers, recruiters, they appreciated the ability, and still do perhaps, but they appreciate the ability they can throw the net wider. People are prepared to, for 2 days a week maybe, travel an hour and a half, 2 hours to work and back, provided they've got their few days at home. That can work, and you can certainly perhaps tap into a wider geographical gene pool of talent. But I'm the jury's out with me still. I still like to see people back in the workplace.
And it's easy for some people to actually adapt to being we saw during the pandemic, didn't we? You never know what's going on behind somebody's front door.
No.
Some people, they may be homeschooling 6 children and don't have room on a kitchen table to put a laptop down. Others can just turn a bedroom into an office and away they go.
Yeah. The number of times you'd see, at the start of the pandemic, you start that whole craze of video conferencing with clients and people, and you see them there with their clothes horses behind them. Then they'd learn how to put screens up and electronically, something like a skill I still haven't quite mastered. So
you've not turned yourself into a cat or anything like that online or anything like that?
Nothing like that. So they did, but people did. People managed very well during the pandemic. I mean, I had a interesting time of it professionally. We were very busy, but there were some real success stories through it, and generally people survived it. But I think the financial support's gone, and it has got tough. Jumps in national minimum wage has put pressure on employers to make efficiencies, but redundancies are difficult because saving that bottom line is tough because they're just not getting the productivity.
No, absolutely. So 20 years in business for Human Results. What's next? What's the future? Have you got anything still on the bucket list?
On the bucket list, yeah. I mean, I've really loved running my own business. It's been fun. You get to make your own mistakes, and but I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Give yourself a good talking to, do you?
Yeah, I've got no real immediate plans to do anything other than continue to strive and try to grow.
And spend the rest of the year raising money for some good causes at the same time. So remind us again then, so would you say 19th of October for Family Fortune?
19th of October.
If people want to find out more about it, get engaged with anything that you're doing for the 20th anniversary, then where do they go? What do they do?
They can go onto our website. They can hunt us down, Human Results, on social media. Plenty of adverts there. It's you can go through Eventbrite and book. It's £15 per person. That includes a fish and chip supper and your first bingo game, cash bingo. So you gamblers out there, it should be a great night.
It's one for the hardcore gamblers and committed fish and chip eaters, isn't it? Without a doubt. Alasdair, great to see you. I hope the wait for your second appearance in the BBC Radio Shropshire studio was worth it, and we'll see you in another 20 years' time, shall we?
Well, thank you, Carl.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
That's Alasdair Hobbs. Let's have a bit of Beverley Night, shall we, now on BBC Radio Shropshire?